You know, when we think about trauma, we usually think of it as a bad memory, right? Something you just can't shake. But what if it's not just a memory? What if it's a physical experience that our bodies are living through right here, right now? Well, that's the core idea from Bessel Kolk's incredible book, The Body Keeps the Score, and today, we're really going to dive into what that means.
Just let that sink in for a second. The past is alive. That right there, that's the powerful idea we're going to unpack today. For people who've been through trauma, the event isn't just over when it's over. Nope, it lives on, inside their body as this constant physical feeling of not being safe. All right, so the first thing we've got to do is completely reframe how we think about trauma. It's not just some bad memory from the past. It's a living, breathing presence, something that speaks through the body long after our mind has tried to move on. And this is the book's core premise. Now, notice what's missing from this definition. Words like memory or psychological scar. Instead, trauma is defined as a living presence in our nervous system. It's literally in how we stand, how we breathe, how fast our heart beats. It's physical, and it's happening right now.
So, you might be asking, why does this all feel like such a new conversation? Well, for decades, psychiatry just didn't have the right words for it. Experiences we now call trauma were just brushed off as hysteria in women, or they were misdiagnosed in war veterans. It's exactly this history of being ignored that makes this new body-focused understanding so revolutionary today.
But how does this actually work on a biological level? Come on, let's go inside the brain and see the hard signs behind it. Because this isn't some abstract idea. It's a real story being told in our neurons and brainwaves.
So here's the crucial point. When someone says trauma is all in your head, they're wrong, but also kind of right, just not in the way they think. It's not imagined. It's a literal, physical change to the brain's structure, to its very architecture. Let me show you what that change actually looks like.
Okay, this slide shows us exactly what's going on. On the left, you've got a regulated brain. The prefrontal cortex, that's our rational command center, it's in charge. But look over on the right. In a traumatized brain, it totally loses its grip. At the same time, the amygdala, which is like the brain's smoke detector, becomes hyperactive. It's just constantly screaming, "Fire, fire!" And then you have the hippocampus, the brain's timekeeper. It gets all confused. It can't file the memory away as being in the past, so the body reacts as if the danger is still happening right this second.
So what does all that brain chaos actually feel like in day-to-day life? Well, it feels like being hijacked by your own emotions. It feels like you're stuck on a horrible looping track of fear or shame. And because the brain and body are totally connected, it can show up as very real physical problems, like chronic pain or even just a constant feeling of being disconnected from yourself and everyone else. See, these aren't just random problems. They are signals from a nervous system that's in distress. So, if the brain is literally rewired and the body is stuck in alarm mode, how in the world do we fix it? For decades, the answer was always the same. Just talk about it. But, as it turns out, that classic approach has some pretty serious limitations.
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we can logically understand what happened to us and we know it wasn't our fault, why do we still feel so awful? Why doesn't just talking it through always make things better?
And here's the answer. It's a fundamental mismatch. We're trying to use words, which come from our rational brain, that prefrontal cortex, to fix a problem that's actually lodged deep down in the emotional and sensory parts of our brain. And those parts, they don't speak English, or any language for that matter. They speak the language of sensation, of impulse, of gut feelings.
This quote it nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that disconnect. You can be sitting in a therapist's office and say, "I know, I'm safe now." And your rational brain totally believes it. But your body, your nervous system, is still screaming danger. Your heart is racing, your palms are sweating. The body just hasn't gotten the memo, because words aren't its language.
So, if words aren't enough, what is? This brings us to the most hopeful part of this whole story. The solution isn't to try harder to talk our way out of it. The solution is to find a way back into the body, to heal from the bottom up. And this requires a complete shift in perspective. The goal is to stop fighting with your own body. Instead of trying to silence its signals, you learn to listen to them. You reconnect. And this is so important. You don't try to forget the past. You learn to integrate it, so it no longer gets to hijack your present. And check this out. There are so many ways to do this. These are all therapies that kind of bypass the language centers to work directly with the brain and the body. You've got things like EMDR, which helps the brain reprocess memories. There's neurofeedback,
which is basically like physical therapy for your brainwaves. Yoga, which is incredible for rebuilding that mind-body connection. And even things like theater and expressive arts, which let survivors embody new roles and rewrite those old scripts. Now, something that's really, really important to remember is that this isn't just a solo journey. Trauma often happens in relationships, and it teaches us that people can't be trusted. So, a huge part of healing is rediscovering a sense of safety in connection with other people, whether that's a therapist, your friends, or a supportive community. Healing happens in relationship.
Ultimately, this book isn't just some clinical textbook. It's an invitation. It's a call for us to listen, with compassion, to the stories that our own bodies are trying to tell us. The path forward isn't through force, it's through presence. And that really leaves one big question for all of us, doesn't it? How can we begin to listen?